Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. I'm Rick. I'm here in Columbia, joined today by Jill in Myrtle Beach, Caroline in Greenville, and Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston. All right, let's get right to it. We're going to start talking some college football. This is week 0 for the college guys and the South Carolina State Bulldogs. They're defending HBCU national champs. They're kicking off Saturday evening at 6 o'clock against Savannah State. Now, the Bulldogs held Media Day this past weekend, and head coach Chennis Berry is preparing for his 3rd season at SU State. He's had quite a run. Berry has led the Bulldogs to back-to-back MEAC championships. They're undefeated at home the past 2 years, in addition to winning that natty. Now, Chennis is a master of mixing newcomers and returners into title contenders. He's done it the past 2 seasons. This year, he has 49 new guys, 29 transfers, and 20 freshmen. Let's hear from the coach.
There's standards on how we do things here at South Carolina State, and we won't waver from those standards. All right? How we chase A's, B's in the classroom, non-negotiable, C's, championships, D's are degrees. That's what we chase every day. So that won't change, So at the end of the day, the guys that's coming in got to buy into the standard. And the guys that are already here, they have to set the standard and don't waver from the standard at all. So if you do that, we like our chances on game day.
One thing I say is don't look at all the shiny stuff and get hung up on it. We still have to do the work, all the monotonous things day by day, and buy into the culture of South Carolina State football. And the winning is just a byproduct of everything we do day to day.
I asked some of the players, what is Chennis Berry's technique when he realizes that maybe the guys aren't as locked in or focused as they need to be at practice? And they say he gets on the microphone or over the PA system, he just goes, "Go Bulldogs!" And it's like everyone snaps to it, no problem. He's got them locked in right away. Kevin?
Yeah, and SC State opens their season, like I said, Saturday night. They take on Savannah State. Also starting the year on Saturday night is the Citadel, the other Bulldogs. They go up to the upstate as they'll take on Wofford. Big opportunity for the Cid, not only to win their opener, but to win a conference game in their opener and really kind of set themselves apart from the rest of the conference early on and at the very least, get a little kind of front foot in front of everyone else before they start conference play as well. So big opportunity for the Cid if they can go on the road and come back home with a win on Saturday afternoon. Maurice Drayton at his weekly press conference on Monday talked about what he's been seeing from this team off the field so far that he's really liked in this preseason and what he needs to see from them on Saturday.
The biggest question marks is probably the same that most coaches have. How you truly will react when adversity hits, right? We try to create adversity. We try to create situations. We try to create ebbs and flows, but you never really know what your team is going to do until they're in the throes of it, being a first game. So that's what you lean into and you worry about some.
Again, that game kicks off at 6 o'clock up in Wofford. And Caroline, I know you've seen the Terriers a little bit this preseason. What can the Cid expect from them this weekend?
Yeah, I think this is a Terriers team based on coaches and players that I've talked to over the course of the offseason at practices and also at SoCon Media Day. This is a team that's ready to roll. They feel good about what they've got. They closed out the last season winning 6 of their final 7 games after an 0-5 start. Head coach Sean Watson has had a continual increase in wins every single season that he's been there. This is going to be his 4th year leading this program, and it sounded like he's really excited. Wofford has 2 quarterback candidates that seem like they could take over at any point this season, and it's kind of an interesting deal because one of their quarterbacks was the quarterback, and then he got injured, Ethan Drum, and then all of a sudden JT Fayard comes in, started the rest of the season last year, and now they're kind of in a quarterback battle. So it's like one guy was a starter, the other guy was the starter, and now they both have a potential to be a starter, but that can only be a positive for Wofford when you've got that kind of competition going on. So it's going to be interesting who runs out there and takes the field for them coming up on Saturday. But I remember this game between the Citadel and Wofford last season there near you, Kevin, and watching the highlights from that game. It was a fun one. That was a busy game, so that's going to be a fun one to open the season down in the SoCon. But Guys, we are going to take a quick break here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We're going to keep talking ball with you right after this.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. We're sticking with football and talking the NFL as well, but also still talking about college football in a way because once again, we're dealing with a whole bunch of eligibility issues in terms of the NCAA and NFL players potentially going back. And a lot of conferences have released their own statements regarding their policies banning these players from returning. Obviously, this is going down a large rabbit hole, and we're hearing more and more every day. But right now, the NFL has weighed in and given their policies and their current standings on how they feel about the situation, sending out a memo yesterday to all the teams within the NFL. Adam Schefter reported yesterday saying a player that goes back to college this season will be prohibited from signing with an NFL team this year. A player signed to an NFL contract who is subsequently cut is a free agent. He may sign with another NFL club or CFL or return to college, but that player is considered a free agent and will not be subject to future draft. So the overall arching statement of this is that if a player does leave the NFL during this preseason and goes back to college, they cannot then return to the NFL within that same year, but this does not bar them from returning in the future, which makes a lot of sense in a way because some of these players, like we were talking about yesterday, didn't know that they might have been granted a fifth year, and they are looking at potentially going back. So I'm curious on, Rick, what are your thoughts on all of this, if this policy makes sense, and if you feel that the NFL is handling this in the right way?
Yeah, well, it looks like folks are, hey, we need to come up with some rules just in case this scenario happens. And so now I guess the one thing I'm thinking about, are they trying to prevent colleges from becoming a true minor league? Because look at this scenario. Okay, someone gets cut in training camp from an NFL team. They decide, hey, you know what? I'm going back to college. They go back to college. Then an NFL team, hey, they suffer an injury at that position. They go, hey, remember this guy who was in our training camp? Let's see if he wants to come back and play for us this season. So I guess they alleviate that problem. But how far are we going with this? Is the South Carolina High School League going to come up with a rule that college players can't come back and play high school? I mean, if we see that scenario happen, I may see if I have some eligibility with my MACB Panthers. And 50 years after my last game there, I'll suit up again. But they probably won't take me back.
I think that's the first call we need to make when this show is over, is to get you back on the field, Rick. This is what needs to happen. This is the whole point
Come on,
of why we have this show, is to suit you up.
Oh, yeah, I don't think anybody wants to see that. And really, neither does my body. I'm good.
I do.
Hard disagree. I can think of at least 3 people who want to see that. But nonetheless, getting back to this statement, I mean, to me, this just seems like, they're just reiterating a point that's been out there for a while anyway. It kind of feels like they're making sure people know that if they do this move, if you're in a pro camp this year, you go back to college, the things aren't going to be the same next year when you come back. You're not going to go through the draft process again. You're not going to be eligible for the draft. And, if we're being realistic, most of the guys who are doing this, unless they come back and have some kind of ridiculous season that nobody saw coming, they're not going to be, teams aren't going to want to draft them at this point. They're going to just be free agents and be up for grabs, which is probably better for most of these guys anyway. It'd probably be better for them to find a situation that fits them once they get ready to take that pro step after this final year of college. But again, I think this is nothing. I don't think it's a big deal. It's something that's been on the books anyway, so just good for them to remind everyone, Caroline.
I mean, I guess I will say that do we realize how out of hand this whole thing has to be for the NFL to be coming out and releasing a statement in this way? I mean, the whole thing is just so blown out of proportion. I feel like every single time I open up Twitter or any kind of social media, it's like, oh, so-and-so's released a statement on the eligibility rules, and we've got this going on, and we have that whole court ruling that we talked about a couple weeks ago where there were several college basketball players, R.J. Godfrey from Clemson included, who suddenly regained an extra year of eligibility back and now potentially is going to play. I mean, it's just like, there's no rhyme or reason to any of it, and I think that it's just interesting now that the NFL is having to spell it out for people and say, hey, let's not do this because that's not fair, which, you know, logically, no, it's not. If a guy goes and has experience in an NFL training camp and then comes back to college, I mean, the problem that I have with it is that when you have somebody that declares for the draft, leaves, I'm going, you know what, my college career was great, it's behind me, this is what I'm focused on now, but then you elect to come back, you're taking opportunities away from younger athletes who have now earned maybe your spot that you left behind on your college team, or freshmen who are incoming, and that's hurting recruiting on the other end, right? I mean, you have a lot of kids where, you know, say you've got somebody, Clemson, for example, you have Peter Woods, who went in the first round of the draft last year. He decides, you know what, not gonna, you know, do it in training camp anymore. I'm gonna come back to Clemson. I mean, it would be shocking if they didn't make a roster spot for him to come back, right? Hypothetically, if they didn't, he comes back, guess who's getting booted? Somebody in that room who's been working all offseason long to finally get that chance and fill his shoes and go out and do their thing. And then that trickles down. That sets everything back. So I just think it's interesting that the NFL has finally chosen to involve themselves. And I also think it's interesting that the SEC, who's been kind of, you know, mute on the whole thing up until the last couple weeks, has finally come out and said, you know what, we're not allowing this anymore. I mean, that's how you know that this thing is kind of a runaway train. The fact that the SEC has felt the need to come out and say something, because as we know, there are quite a few teams, quite a few coaches in that league that don't necessarily always play by the rules. And then now the NFL has had to come in, and that's not even their field. The NFL is professional, but now they're having to come in and tell these college players, hey, let's not do this. So I think it's just an example, or really speaks to how out of hand this whole thing has gotten over the course of the summer. It's been out of hand for a couple of years now, but I feel like in the last couple of months, Jill, things have just really like gotten away from everybody, where nobody, probably all of us, me especially included, has any idea what's going on. Who's eligible, who's not. I'm with Rick. I could go out and suit up for the Panthers tomorrow, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's a strange thing to try to articulate, Jill.
It's for sure strange, and it's gotten to the point where you can't keep up with it almost. And what you touched on is something that a lot of coaches have touched on, saying they're aware that if they take these professional players who want to come back, that they would have to cut someone from their team. And how is that fair to a player who has been there all summer, putting in all this work, to them get that taken away from them? So it's something that a lot of coaches are saying that they're probably not willing to do, which I think is the ethical decision. However, sometimes you do have to make a business decision. So it will be interesting to see if those coaches who have expressed those concerns stick to what they were saying earlier. And on Rick, on a note that you said, my senior year of high school lacrosse got cut short because of COVID. Do I get to go back now? Maybe I do. I think I should be able to suit up for the Southside Cyclones in net come spring. So on that note, we're going to take a quick break here on Palmetto Sports Daily.
I'm standing with you.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. Staying on our football theme of the afternoon so far, we're going to go over talk about the Carolina Panthers, because the Panthers have their final preseason game of this preseason tomorrow when they host the Houston Texans. It's their only home preseason game that they've had. They've played in 4, but they had that Hall of Fame game, and then they've played 2 road games, and now here they are, finally welcoming fans into Bank of America Stadium. This will now be the second time over the course of the offseason that the fans will get to lay eyes on this team after they got to do so at the Fan Fest a couple weeks ago. And they also had a joint practice with the Texans. This is kind of becoming a big thing here where lots of teams are having joint practices and, you know, feeling each other out, just going up against somebody other than themselves, getting those extra reps. Unfortunately for the Panthers, the extra reps were not exactly what they were looking for yesterday. It was not Bryce Young's best day. He struggled against the Texans defense, going 9 of 17 with 2 picks, and he was sacked 7 times over the course of this practice, and basically got up and told everybody afterwards at the podium that it kind of sucks to have a day like that at practice, but he's excited to take it and grow from it. And I guess that's kind of what the point of these joint practices are. Get exposed a little bit, learn from it, don't get exposed again later. So definitely not the Panthers' best outing, it didn't sound like out there, but they're looking to grow from it and looking to use that as they continue to get ready for tomorrow's preseason game when they see the Texans again.
It was pretty lopsided today, I'll be honest. I would say that in general, over camp, I'm very excited about where we're at as an offense in our scheme, the variation of the run game, the actions tied into that, the drop back pass game, Bryce's rhythm with a lot of our guys, with T-Mac. You know, Xavier hasn't been out there, but with Jalen, just finding different ways to get completions and all. So I've been really encouraged by that. Today did not show that. Today there was a couple of flashes of some nice throws and catches, but you know, that was a good group today. So again, I try not to just take it all in a microcosm, but if we want to be good, we have to be able to play against teams like this.
And I know there's been a lot of positives over the course of the preseason, a lot of good competition going on in different rooms, but I feel like, at least from what I've seen from, you know, watching these preseason games the Panthers have played in, also being out at camp a few days, like, it seems kind of similar to some of the problems that happened last season, which was inconsistency. Like, they came out in that game against the Jags last Friday down in Jacksonville, looked outstanding. The offense had a touchdown in its second drive of the day. Bryce Young had a great day. He was 5 for 6. He had 49 yards, and they were moving the ball effectively. He was hitting his marks, but then they come out and they have a practice like this. Or on the other side of the Jags game, prior to that, they laid an egg up in Buffalo where the first-team offense couldn't get a first down through 3 possessions of having the football. So it kind of seems like it's ebbing and flowing a little bit, and definitely going to need to have a good outing tomorrow to kind of have that confidence, their final preseason game, before they go and do the real thing. Rick, is there anything that you're looking to see from this team that's going to make you kind of be like, all right, sure, they could do it? Like, is there anything that you're looking to see from this team tomorrow as they host Houston?
Well, one thing about their poor showing against the Texans, that Houston defense is really good. For you folks who haven't had your fantasy league drafts yet, you may want to pick up that Houston defense. They're really good. And then the injuries that the Panthers have had along the offensive line. You have your rookie Freeling at right tackle. He had a rough day, and Bryce Young under pressure the whole time. So when they get on the field for that exhibition game against the Texans, I want to see if that offense can perform a lot better than they did in that joint practice, because they just got beat up. Really bad day.
Yeah, I'll be honest, there's really nothing I'm interested in seeing in the preseason game. I'm more interested, I would have liked to have seen more from these practices they had. You're going to play it all. So I'd
Well, Rick, you touched on exactly what I was going to touch on. The one good thing to think about within this practice is that this is what that Houston defense does. Their pass rushing is top tier. So I don't think it's anything to sound any alarm bells at. It is a little bit alarming, but it's what that team does. However, this is what you need to happen in the preseason. This is why you have those joint practices. This is why you have those preseason games. So you see what you're getting exposed to and what changes you need to make. And something Kanala said was that you're going to have days like this, and we could change schemes and we could change the game plan and adjust. So it's good that you're getting this type of exposure. That's what he was saying. He told Bryce Young. So it's a good test for the Panthers, especially going into this game on Friday. And correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't believe starters are playing in that game, are they? I don't believe so. I believe they said the workload was full on Wednesday and that starters weren't playing on Friday.
Yeah, it sounded like Dave Canales hadn't really made up his mind on the whole starter situation, but maybe after the way things went on Wednesday, we might see some of those guys out there if they didn't like what they saw. So I think it was kind of a gray area, up in the air. We'll decide when we get there type of deal. So we'll see if that's what's happening and if they have the ones out there tomorrow to kind of get their last little bit in before the real thing starts here in a couple weekends. But we're going to take a break here on Palmetto Sports Daily, and we'll be right back.
Back to Palmetto Sports Daily, and we're going to switch over to baseball, particularly the Braves, where the Braves are in a series which is arguably one of their most important regular season series, if I could speak, with the Dodgers. And last night was a very, very impressive game from this Braves team, coming out swinging with a homer from Matt Olson and then finishing the game 6-5. In a walk-off solo hit. It was an insane game, especially going against these two teams, and tonight could make it a full sweep. And this is something that you want to see from the Braves, especially as we're heading into October. This is going to have major implications for who's going to have that first round bye come playoffs. So, Rick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that was a very exciting game. The Braves get 2 runs when the L.A. left fielder misplays a fly ball, and then to win it on a walk-off. Very entertaining game and a big win, too, to get a win over the Dodgers because they can't afford a late-season slump. No, got to keep winning. All right, that's going to do it tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.